The Cleaner is a game played in two parts. Part one is the crime scene phase. That's where you're trying to clean up all the evidence before the time runs out. Part two is the police investigation phase. That's where the police are going to conduct their investigation of the crime scene. If you left any evidence behind, there's a greater and greater chance that the police might find it. Cleaning the crime scene consists of two phases: the action phase and the refresh phase. In the action phase, you take 4 actions from this list and you can repeat actions. You can place an equipment card, activate an equipment card, combine evidence, combine or split effort, replace equipment, and perform an action listed on a card. We'll be looking at these as we go on with our playthrough. In the refresh phase, you want to check certain things. Discard any remaining equipment, remove any tiles that have been cleaned, and then you'll have to adjust your time based on the following values. Again, we'll take a closer look at that as we go into the playthrough. The goal of the game is to clean these evidence tiles from the crime scene. So each one of these evidence tiles represents crime scene evidence. You've got a bloody mirror here. You've got blood stains. You've got fiber and blood. You've got a broken mirror. You've got bloody prints. Now, the most important evidence to clean up is the victim and the murder weapon. If you will fail to clean up either of those tiles from the crime scene, when the police arrive, you instantly lose the game. Okay, let's start playing. First thing I want to do is I want to place an equipment card in my hand. The way to do that is to take the top 2 cards from the equipment deck and we choose one and discard the other. So let's see what our options are. Over here we have cloths, and they could give me a chance to generate yellow, that's low effort cubes. Or we've got the Hoover, and those can help me generate red, which is a higher value cube. And I'm liking this right now because if I look here, if I want to target this victim or this murder weapon tile, they have red cubes on them. So I'm going to discard this cloths tile, or rather card, and I'm going to hang on to this Hoover, and I'm going to equip that in my hand. So my first action, I placed an equipment card. Let's place another equipment card. So again, we're going to take a look at the top 2 cards of our deck. What have we got? We've got cloths again, and we've got a water bucket. I'm liking this water bucket because this is going to give me those slightly higher value orange cubes. And if we take a look at our targets right now, the victim and the murder weapon also require orange cubes. So this is a good card to have, I'm thinking right now, and I'm going to place that in my right hand. For my third action, I'd like to activate an equipment card. I'm going to choose to activate the Hoover that's in my left hand. And to do that, I roll my effort D6 and I compare the result against what's printed on the card, and then we resolve accordingly. So let's roll this effort D6 and see what we get. We rolled a 2. That is not a good roll. If we compare that to our card, a 2 means we get -1 time. Now what are our options here? We could take that -1 time, or we could mitigate randomness by spending a bonus cube. How do we earn that bonus cube? Well, we can pay 2 time and return the top equipment card from our deck back to the box. If we're willing to pay that price, we could then have an opportunity to either re-roll that roll, or we could flip it to the other side, which is a 5, which would be even better. But is it worth doing right now? Right now, we're only going to lose -1 minute because of that roll of 2. The cost of re-rolling or flipping the dice, basically getting that bonus cube, is too high right now, and it's very, very early in the game. So, hard as it is, I'm going to go ahead and take that penalty because of that poor roll, and I'm going to reduce our time by 1. So that represents that the use of that Hoover was not very successful, and we paid a price for it, and we didn't get any cubes to be able to clean any evidence. Now, anytime you take the activate equipment card action, successful or not, you then, after resolving it, you discard that card. So this card gets discarded. I still have one more action to take, and I could, if I wanted to, activate this card. But here's why I'm thinking I don't want to activate that card, because let's say I activate this card and I actually get an orange cube, which I would put here. Well, the thing is, that would be my last action for this turn. And if I leave any cubes on my player board during the refresh phase, it's going to cost me time to store those cubes unused on the crime scene if I leave them on my player board. So I'm thinking right now my best play is to opt not to take my fourth action so that I don't run the risk of losing time by leaving an effort cube on my player board during the refresh phase. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to choose not to take my fourth action. Okay, now we move on to the refresh phase, and here are the checks that we do in the refresh phase. First of all, we check that we have discarded all equipment that was activated. So yes, we had discarded the equipment card that was in our left hand. This guy's not going to be used, so he's not going to get discarded. He's just going to stay there in our right hand. We also have to remove any tiles that we cleaned during the action phase. Well, our first action phase was very unsuccessful, and we didn't get to clean any evidence whatsoever, either wholly or partially, so we don't have to worry about that right now. And then also, if any effort cubes are left on the player board, we would go ahead and adjust our time, lower our time based on that. Because we chose not to place any cubes on the player board, that's not going to happen. All right, we've taken care of our refresh phase. Now we go to our next action phase. Next action phase, I'd like to place an equipment card in my left hand. So we take a look at the top two cards, and what do we got here? This one says rubber gloves. This is going to give me +5 time, and to use this equipment, permanently remove the top 3 cards from the draw deck and the rubber gloves. Wow, this is a very powerful card, but there's also a very high cost to using it. So you know what? I am choosing, it's not the right time to use that now. So I'm just going to discard that for now. Don't worry, it's going to come back. What's our other option here? We've got some cloths, so just some basic cloths. So we're going to go ahead and choose that, and we're going to place that in our left hand. That's our first action. What's our second action? Well, we've still got our water bucket from our last turn. Let's go ahead and try to activate that now. So action 2, we're going to attempt to activate the equipment card. Let's see what our roll is. Oh boy, look at that. We rolled a 6. What does that mean? The reward for rolling a 6 here with this water bucket is we get not just 1, but 2. We generate 2 orange effort cubes. So let's go ahead and grab those now. Very nice. There you go. And we gain 1 minute of time. That's really good for us. So this time mark tracker goes back to the maximum time of 60. So thematically, we used and wielded this water bucket with such skill that we got the maximum amount of effort out of it, and we actually were so efficient that we gained some time back. So that's a really good roll, really good use of water bucket right here. Feeling good about that, and that gets discarded right over here. All right, action number 3. We seem to have some effort cubes now, and we can go ahead and clean evidence. We're going to take the effort cubes from any space on the player board, and we're going to place on matching spaces on a single evidence tile. So these cubes cannot be spread out across multiple tiles. You have to choose one tile to put them on. So I'm thinking this murder weapon tile requires 2 orange evidence cubes, or rather effort cubes, and I've got 2 of them right now, so I'm going to go ahead and place them right there. There you go. So now we've got some of the requirements to be able to clean that murder weapon from the crime scene. Now we need 3 red tiles to complete that, and then we'll be able to remove that murder weapon. So feeling pretty good about that right now. Okay, we have 1 action left. I don't feel like I want to activate this card right now because I don't want to pay any time penalty for storing cubes on my player board. So I think you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and place another equipment card. So let's take a look at those top 2 cards of our draw deck here. Let's see what our options are. We've got the disinfectant. That's going to give us red cubes. And we've got another water bucket, and that could give us orange cubes. Now, both of these cards are very useful for us because we need red cubes. We also need orange cubes to be able to get rid of that victim card over there. But you know what? I'm going to discard the water bucket, and I'm going to equip or place this disinfectant card in our right hand. And those are all 4 actions that we were able to take here in turn number 2. Now let's move on to the second refresh phase.